Music is useless. It doesn't feed you. It doesn't shelter you. It doesn't protect you from anything. By every rule of evolution, a species that spends precious time and energy on organized sound should have been outcompeted and wiped out long ago. And yet every human culture ever discovered, every single one, with no exceptions, independently invented it. Tribes that never met, continents that never touched, they all started singing, and that tells us music isn't a luxury at all. It's doing something, something we are only beginning to understand. So let's start with how old this goes. In a cave in southern Germany, archaeologists found a flute. It was carved from the wing bone of a vulture, the holes drilled with stone tools, tuned by ear. It is around 40,000 years old, older than farming, older than the wheel, older than writing. Before humans grew a single crop, before we built cities, before we had any way to record a thought, we were already making music. It was one of the first things we did, once we became fully human. And here is what makes that strange. Music left no fossils for most of its history. A song doesn't survive in the ground. So that flute is not the beginning. It's just the oldest piece of evidence that happened to be made of bone. The real story is far older and far more universal than a single cave, because there has never been a human culture without music. Not one. Anthropologists went looking. They wanted to find a society somewhere, anywhere, that never developed song. A culture that skipped it. They have never found one. Every language, every continent, every era we can reach. Music is there. It is as universal to our species as having two hands. And things that universal are never accidents. They are built in. The only question is what they were built for. To answer that, you have to look at what music does to the body. Put on a song you love, and something measurable happens inside you. Your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical reward you get from food, from sex, from the things evolution uses to keep you alive. Researchers have watched this happen on brain scans. The peak of a song, that moment you've been waiting for, lights up the same reward circuitry as your most basic survival drives. Think about that. Your brain treats a beautiful piece of music as if it were food, but pleasure alone doesn't explain it. Lots of things feel good. What makes music different is what it does between people. When a group of humans sings together, something extraordinary happens. Their breathing synchronizes. Their heart rates begin to align. When people drum, or dance, or chant in time, their bodies fall into rhythm with one another, and their brains release endorphins, the same chemicals that flood you during exercise or laughter. Music, it turns out, is a machine for making many bodies act like one. And for our ancestors, that was not a small thing. It might have been everything. Picture a small band of early humans, 30, maybe 40 people. Their survival depends entirely on cooperation, on trusting each other, on acting as a single unit when a threat appears or a hunt begins. A group that bonds tightly survives. A group of strangers who don't trust each other falls apart and dies. Now imagine you have a tool that can take 40 separate, suspicious individuals and, in a single evening, around a fire, synchronize their bodies, flood them with the same chemicals, and make them feel like one thing. That tool is music. This is the leading idea among scientists who study where music came from. That it began as social glue, a technology for bonding, a way to turn a crowd into a tribe. And there is one more clue, hiding in plain sight, that you have almost certainly seen. Somewhere right now, a parent is singing to a baby. They are using a slow, high, gentle, sing-song voice. And here is the strange part. Parents do this in every culture on Earth, in every language, whether anyone taught them to or not. Scientists call it infant-directed song, and it appears everywhere they look. Babies, long before they understand a single word, are soothed by it. Their heart rate slows, their distress fades. A mother and an infant, with no shared language at all, are bonding through melody. The very first relationship of your life was built, in part, on music. Now, I want to be honest with you about something. Scientists still argue about exactly why music evolved. Charles Darwin thought it began as a mating display, like a peacock's tail or a bird's song, a way to show off fitness and attract a partner. Others argue it was social bonding from the start, and a few have argued the deflating opposite, that music is what one scientist called auditory cheesecake. Not an adaptation at all, just a pleasurable accident, a byproduct of brains that evolved for other things. The debate isn't settled, we may never fully settle it, but notice what even the skeptics can't explain away. The universality. The fact that it appears in every culture, that it hijacks the deepest reward systems in the brain, that it synchronizes bodies, that it forms the first bond between a mother and her child. Whatever music is, it is not sitting at the edges of human life. It is sitting at the center. And this is where it stops being history and becomes you, because that ancient machinery never switched off. When you feel a crowd of strangers sing the same song and the hair stands up on your arms, that is 40,000 years of bonding firing inside you. When a piece of music moves you to tears for no reason you can name, that is your reward system, built for survival, responding to organized sound as if your life depended on it. When you put on a song to feel less alone, you are doing something your ancestors did around fires you will never see. You are reaching for the oldest tool humans ever built for the feeling of belonging. Music is useless, we said at the start. It doesn't feed you, or shelter you, or keep you warm. But it did something those things never could. It took separate, frightened, fragile human beings and made them feel like part of something larger than themselves. It built the trust that let us survive together when we could not have survived alone. We didn't invent music because it was beautiful. We may have survived because it was. And every time a song gives you chills, some ancient part of you still remembers why.